Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals.
All right, and on today's episode, we're discussing self-care tips after your therapy session. We're going French with it today. Session.
Oh my gosh. Very serious topic, David.
I
Gosh.
know, I'm sorry. That's what I do. Make them laugh, make them laugh.
It's a serious topic, but also the self-care tips are kind of fun in a way, some of them. So we'll kind of make this a little lighthearted if we can. But David and I are both therapy people. We both go to therapy. Most of my close friends go to therapy. Like I'm trying to think of most of them do.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I've only just started going to a therapist and I've already, found so much comfort in the short time we've been working together. So I totally encourage everyone to start therapy, even if you don't need to. Do realize that it is a privilege to be able to afford therapy because it is very expensive.
Yes.
I get that. And if you are, I encourage you to do as much work with a therapist as possible for whatever it could be. It could be, some deep childhood trauma. It could just be, dealing with everyday life. That both are just as important to deal with.
Yeah, there's some schools and things like that, and other therapists who do sliding scales, so they will adjust for you if you're on lower income, things like that. Medicaid, I think BetterHelp takes Medicaid, things like that. So and they use BetterHelp, I believe, right?
I do use BetterHelp, yes. If you listen to any other podcasts, you might have heard some kind of advertisements about BetterHelp, and that is where I heard about them. They're an online therapy program. One of our friends that we have some tips from today actually uses BetterHelp as well. Not a sponsor, but would totally love that. What's up, BetterHelp? No, they're just really great. I have found great comfort in using them. And I really enjoy the virtual therapy sessions, which I know you do as well.
Yeah.
Even though yours isn't through like an app or anything, she's an independent therapist or whatever, but
yeah. My brain just stopped working for 2 seconds. All of that happens. Very common for me. I go straight to a person. I don't use an app. I looked at BetterHelp, but for like my insurance wouldn't cover. My insurance just wouldn't cover. They were considering it out of state, so it was it was outside my coverage or whatever. So and it wouldn't go towards my copays or whatever, my deductibles. Which thanks, American healthcare system. Super cool. Awesome. And you know me, I don't go to a doctor for anything. I could cut my arm off and be like, it'll grow back. I'll be fine.
So David.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if I get physically injured and it's not, the bone's not sticking out or it's not gashed or infected, I'm like, I'll be fine.
Even if the bone is sticking a little bit out, he'll just shove it back in. Don't let him lie to you. He's totally done that before.
I straight up broke my pinky toe. Granted, it's a pinky toe.
Yes.
I broke it. I yanked it back in place and made a pop noise. And then my friends were like, dude, you should go to the hospital and get that set right. They're like, nah, I'll be fine. Like, what if it heals weird?
God.
I was like, then it heals weird. You know what? And it healed weird.
Now I have a weird pinky toe.
I have to show you my gray shoes that I have. There's a spot in the left edge of my shoe that has the worn areas because my pinky toe sticks out a little further than the rest of my toes. And when I rub it, like driving and stuff, it's like wearing my shoe down.
I love that so much.
Yeah, and that toe won't bend. I won't go, but I go to therapy. Like I've been going for. I'll talk about it on the show because I'm not going to tell what I talk about, but I'll give you some insights here. I've been going for it'll be 2 years in January.
That's amazing. Very proud of you.
Oh, thank you. And I you too. I was awesome. So happy and shocked when you went. I was like, oh, sweet, because you definitely need it. Because oh my god.
Yeah, I do. I really do. They really, really
Uh,
do.
and
Been through some shit.
much more than I have. I have mine's mostly like just
You've been through
exes.
some stuff you don't even realize you've been
Oh
through.
yeah. What's
You think it's just common shit.
have you
So, yes.
have you had have you had any of the moments where your therapist has to make you go back to something you just said?
No, we've talked about this. I already know that I was abused. I
No,
know
but
all
it's
those things.
but yeah, like I have those. Like I was like, oh, this happened when I was whatever, and I'll keep talking. And my therapist just said, okay, hold on, go back, and I'll repeat it. And she's like, that's not good. I'm like, it's not. Like that's not normal. Like no, that's not. That's it's probably why you have anxiety and so problem with social situations. Like, I think it explains a lot, doesn't it?
I love that
Which
for you.
and what's
No, I don't really have those kinds of moments. Right now we're working on very traumatic events of my life. I'll be honest, I don't care. We're working on very deep trauma therapy on like very specific things. So it's not kind of overall stuff.
okay,
Um, but it does interact with my day, but I have to find those moments. Like that's my homework is to find
right.
when that yeah, it's really interesting.
I
There's
was
a
there at the
lot of
beginning.
homework with therapy, which is I did not realize.
Yeah, I for a while I had a little like a note. I would take notes in therapy of things of homework I have to do. Because I was I was kind of the beginning where it's like she would ask, she's like, okay, until when you see each other again, think about this, and she would just kind of leave me with a question to think about, and I'd come back going, oh, I thought about it. Here's what
Oh gosh.
you know, and that's
Thought
how.
about it a lot.
And now it's like now there's a lot of maintenance and like okay, we know what these I have the issues with this, or I know that like I give too much, which I say funny, but it's also a problem. Like you
It
can be much too
is.
much of a giver, or she has to go. Well, what happened this week? Okay, is that we know you do this? Is that going to be an issue? To a point, it's
That's
almost
very
like just
true.
a guide. You're and it's and because we all have like friends and family who we talk to, and therefore you're there. I should be paying you for therapy half the time, honestly.
Back
Um,
at you.
right? And it's just, but also having someone who knows, like you don't have the training to go like,
Right.
oh, that means this, and then connects.
Yes.
But these people are trained to understand these connections, how everything manifests and works together. So she's because like we remember she can even she can pull stuff back because she has notes. She's taking notes all
Yes.
the time.
Hmm.
So she's like, well, we talked about a few weeks ago where you had this experience, and I know it made you like feel really bad, and I think is that relating to what you're going now?
It's always
Um,
interesting when you see them like stop and take a note, and I'm like,
what did I say?
what I say? Like, I see your hand moving.
I pick, I pick on her. I have such a weird relationship with my therapist. I pick on her. I'll say something. I go, I'll saw you write that down. She just laughs at me. Or she does a thing where like she stops talking, like we're in dead silence. She's waiting for me to talk,
Oh, that's
which
interesting.
which is a very like typical like tactic because people don't like silence. So usually if you're quiet long enough,
Yep.
someone's gonna start running their mouth. And so she gets quiet waiting for me to talk, and I almost every time I go like, yeah, don't do that. She starts laughing. I go, "Oh,
You really do not. You are not a silence filler.
no, I'll sit in
And
silence.
that's
And when I
interesting.
know she's doing it to me, I was like, ask me something. Don't sit in silence with me because I know you're
You're
doing it.
not gonna trick me.
I will sit in silence just to make it weird.
You will.
And
Shithead.
so I start grinning at her. She'll grin at
Oh
me
my
because I
god.
mean, I've 2 years into this almost. She like,
Right.
she knows me pretty well. Um,
Well, what I like about BetterHelp is I can message my therapist throughout the week whenever I want, and
right.
if it's on a certain day, she'll respond to me, or even if it's not on specific days, she responds. So I had sent her something last week, and so when we had our session, we were talking about it, and I was like, I almost messaged you one other time because I know you like true crime because we had mentioned that in our first meeting because you did that little get together, get to know each other meeting.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I almost messaged you when they found the Zodiac killer. And she was like, wasn't that crazy? And then we just nerded out for like 2 minutes, but that's all we allowed. And we didn't go anywhere past
Yeah.
that. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then at the end of the session, I asked her for some tips, which I included
Ooh.
in this or am
Oh.
going to include in this session. And one of the things she recommended was Amazon has um, like little cold case true crime mystery games.
Oh,
So I have done Hunt a Killer with my best friend Melissa, and I love Hunt a Killer. I would also love them to be a sponsor, which has absolutely nothing to do with being vegan. But it's a crazy murder mystery game, and I freaking love it. They send you like clues every month. You would love it. It's so fun.
that sounds fun.
But
Yeah.
she said that Amazon has like individual cold cases that you can buy, and they have like all the clues and all the like, detective notes and stuff, and you have to figure out the case. And she goes, that would be a cool thing to do after like a therapy session, is play a little bit of that game, because she
Right.
was saying games can be really helpful after a therapy session. So I was like, that is so cool. I was
Immediately
like,
Amazon.
that
You're
is,
like,
I was like, what? I just thought that was like very specific for like someone like me who loves true crime.
right.
But I just love that she remembered that, and like she figured out something that like super related to me, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope as we go through this list that you all can find something that relates to you, fits what might help you. Because today we're talking about self care after a therapy session. So you may feel pretty raw, exhausted, emotional, depending on how deep and intense your therapy session is. Mine right now are very freaking emotional. I'm not even gonna lie, I cry a lot. So it is very, very much like a raw, exhausted. I feel like I could just maybe sit here and like not move for a little bit kind of
Hmm.
feeling. So I thought this would be a really great episode to make, not just for you guys, but for me as well, and for David too, to find different ways to kind of it sounds so like, you know, hippie-ish, but like recenter yourself after a therapy
Oh, for
session,
sure.
like kind of like, not like forget what you just talked about or any of that, but just kind of like get back to a state of mind where you can then go on with your day,
Right.
because sometimes it feels like those sessions can maybe like they can maybe fuck you up for the rest of the day. But hopefully, these tips will help you kind of avoid that as much as possible. We shall see.
We shall see. I like.
And,
Go ahead.
okay,
That's
I'll
yours.
start with one of mine because this is mentioned a few times. So,
Mm.
meditation. I have mentioned this before in other episodes. I love to meditate, and I am the last person you would probably think could meditate, because my brain is just constantly going and my anxiety is constantly high. So it feels like there's no way that I could ever calm my brain. But the more you practice meditation, the more you can actually do it. And it's not just like, keeping trying to keep your thoughts, centered into just relaxing and not thinking. It can seem like daunting at first, but it really truly, after a good meditation session, it feels like you're like just waking up almost. And it feels like a fresh start in a really awesome way. And it sounds like, again, so like guru kind of like foo-foo stuff, but it is so wonderful to just sit in quiet for a little bit. There's a lot of guided meditations. I use Insight Timer, which is an app on my phone, and it has free options. My therapist recommended the Calm app, which I also think one of our friends, Rosie, uses as well. Now, here's a tip that my therapist gave. The Calm app, I think, actually costs money. She said they have a YouTube channel that is free. Obviously, it's
Right.
YouTube. So you can go on YouTube and find meditation for free. You don't actually have to use an app of any kind. But I just recommend kind of taking a minute to quiet your brain after talking a bunch, after feeling super emotional. It is nice to just be quiet for a little bit. So, my first recommendation is a little meditation. Try it before you knock it. right?
Yeah, I mean, there is science behind meditation, and and centering yourself. I mean, that can sound a little woo woo and a little like hocus pocus, but I sometimes you feel off, like you can feel kind of off balance, a little off kilter,
Mm-hmm.
not quite yourself. And to me, when you're someone's quote centering themselves, and I say like I mean I'm not so I'm an atheist, and I'm pretty vocal about that. So I'm not like I'm not Buddhist or Hindu, which is usually you talk about centering yourself. Usually it's an Eastern mythology,
Mm-hmm.
mythology and philosophy. But there is something to that of like kind of like kind of like calming yourself and kind of putting yourself back in an emotional state that's not so far in one direction. Um,
Mm.
Not that that's bad. You having emotional is completely acceptable, regardless of your gender or your age or anything like that. But sometimes you gotta go to work and
Yeah,
or cook dinner or
exactly.
like like have a relationship with other people, and you can't be all like in a that sort of mental state at the time. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely something there for meditation. Are we doing a back and forth thing, or do you want to go
Yeah.
yours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to hear one of yours.
Mine is sitting outside.
Oh, yes.
When I very beginning of therapy, because I was dealing mainly with a lot of relationship stuff. Um, Good lord. Uh, and most of it was just
Literally want to hug your therapist for
right,
that.
dude.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
Relationship stuff, and also kind of discovering why they got there, which has really helped me because I now, you
Yes.
know, searching and dating, and and so that's kind of helped me know what I'm looking for and red flags and what I've made mistakes for and what I do and
Mm-hmm.
don't need emotionally. Which I wish I would have taken therapy years ago just to find that out. But so in the beginning I would leave more like frustrated, not at therapy itself, but because it's like pulling because like I've been sitting in frustration all week, and I finally sit there and I get to like just lay it all out, and it kind of boils it back up. Where sometimes therapy I just have to breathe while in therapy because I'm getting so
Right.
frustrated. And sometimes now I may leave happy because we're having a good session because now the frustration's not there. We're talking about other stuff, and whatever. So sometimes it's a little sad and angry, but sitting outside in the sun or
Oh, yes.
if it's raining, kind of opening the windows and kind of letting the sounds in and getting the fresh air. I don't meditate. And not that I'm
That's very meditative.
yeah, and that's not that I'm against it. I fully support it. I just have problems, kind of like you, calming the brain. So I may be on my
Mm-hmm.
phone or like watching a TikToks or like watching YouTube or just like playing a little game or something, just for 10 minutes, afterwards. And you go to therapy typically like after hours, like later in the night. I go in the
Yes.
middle of the workday, so I don't have
Yes.
much time to spare. But I will take like 10 minutes to kind of like get air sometimes. That's one of the things I
Yeah.
do, depending on how I'm feeling that day and how therapy went. That's especially if it's a stressful one. But sometimes my therapist has to ground me because I will get my head way up in the clouds, and I like to think ten
Mm-hmm.
thousand steps, and she's got to pull me back, which can be like, that's true. I'm getting too excited about stuff. I should calm down. So I need to kind of take that
But
moment
then
to kind
going
of
outside is also going to ground you too,
exactly,
because you're
yeah,
going to, you know what I mean? Like that's a great thing for you to do. Oh, I love that.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
And the
I love it.
sun feels
It
good.
is great. I also have new I have new chairs in my patio now. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
they're all
Nice.
gray.
Yeah, I bet they are. Not surprised.
Right. I have good taste. All right.
You do. You knew I was going to say something. Come on. That's great. Oh, gosh.
It's great. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yours.
So, speaking of sitting outside, you're going to get all warm and
Mm.
toasty with the sun. I have found lately, because I have therapy late at night. It's kind of the beauty of BetterHelp is you can find someone who does their sessions at the specific time of day when you're available. So, I am more available late afternoon, evening. And I was like, is that going to be weird? I've never known anyone to do therapy at night, but I love it. And I love it because afterwards I can just do whatever the hell I want. Like I don't have to go back to work. So that is very
Yeah.
comforting for me, especially because I am in like an intense therapy thing right now. So I don't think I could go back to work.
I'm so
So-
glad your sessions are at night because like I was imagining like how is she gonna do these sessions and like go back to like
I
work.
could not.
You
Could
could
not.
not. You could, especially with what you're dealing with. There's no way, man.
There's no way.
You're strong as fuck,
So,
but I mean,
thank you. So I've been taking hot showers. I mean, I already take like the most incredibly hot showers. What do they say? Like, well, this is what my husband says. He says, I cannot drink hot coffee. I have to drink lukewarm coffee, but I take the most scalding hot showers that he thinks is like inhuman.
Yeah.
He's like, you are such a weirdo. Like, wait, my body can take it. My mouth can not.
Well, like
that's an inappropriate sentence, perhaps.
I know. We're explicit. I'm not going to say explicit, so we're good. Fuck. Damn. Shit. Okay, now I can check explicit. No, like this like a trope that like men have a medium like shower and women have it like all the way up, and I have it all the way up as fire. Like
it's so good.
It's great. Just burns.
But like a hot shower after therapy, like with all the smells and just the steam and the heat, and like if I want to cry, it's fine. I'm already in the shower. Just rinse my face.
If we just walk by the bathroom, hear a shower and crying, it's like, the hell is that? Like, I make it therapy. Yeah.
I knew you would laugh at that.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like
it just feels so good. And also, like, you get out of the shower, you do all the, like, skincare, lotion, and it's just like, it's almost like a little pampering thing for myself. So I save my shower on therapy days for after my therapy session now. And I have found that I truly, I love it. And I almost, like, crave it to a point where I'm just like, oh, I get to go take a shower after this. It's so weird now. I just love it so much. It also feels almost like I'm like getting it all off of me. Like, just okay. Rinse it all away kind of thing. So yeah, that's my tip.
That's a good one. That's I wish I could do that in nights. I mean, I guess I technically could do that, but that can be kind of weird. Like,
kind of weird.
Shine middle of the day.
Oh God.
What was my other one? Oh yeah. So I like mine.
Oh gosh.
It's laying with the dogs. I know.
I'm so jealous.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to put out because if you had this original, I was like, I don't want to put this one, but it's something that I do. So.
And sometimes I have a dog in my house. You do. It's fine. Go on.
Yes, do. I guess again, this is mainly with like if I have an intense one or something kind of like really is like. She had to kind of like snap me back reality or like kind of hit home a few things like sometimes just grab Benny and bring him up and like or I have a fucking zoo in my house. I have 7 fucking animals in this house.
I love it. Yeah, they're so cute.
You can come over
and clean. So cute.
You can come over clean. You come over and clean up after them. Then
listen, I'll take one of those cats. I don't care.
You can have Phineas.
Yes, I can.
He's kind of an ass. But, he was some cat, but Benny's my boy. He's my Netflix and chill dog.
He's so sweet.
Yeah. So and Kodak is 80-pound pit bull, so he's good. He's good for some spooning. But yeah, it's just kind of like I will go lay down in the bed and dogs will come there and jump on there with me, and we'll just kind of like relax for a bit. Benny will get him up near my head, and Kodak will lay next to me, and we'll kind of just cuddle up and kind of again it's mostly just kind of like again it's recentering, it's recharging, it's taking a minute to get that breath and put yourself back in alignment. But because I have to get up pretty quick after that and go right back to work. But
and animals are like a stress reliever too. They can feel that you're feeling emotion, so they're like, let me just love on you, human. Like, stop being so grumpy.
You're my friend, so let's do it. Well, let's think about it too. But I don't know how it's better help, but therapy sessions, they're an hour, but they actually are less than an hour. Mine are about 53 minutes long. How long are yours?
Mine are 45. Okay. And we do not, I saw a TikTok recently where it was like different kind of therapy patients. And some of them have small talk, which you do in the beginning of your sessions. You guys chit chat about stuff.
Yep.
We don't. We get right to that shit. Like, I am paying a lot of money and this is intense. Let's go.
So we'll go about that and then we'll go to yours. Yes, actually, my therapist had to go, okay, you gotta get started. So fast you make me stop. I will actually get her talking about herself and she'll have to catch me on it.
You're such a shit. Stop wasting time.
It's not on purpose. Like, because usually it's like, hey, how was your week? I was good. How was yours? They pleasantries, and she'll say, oh, just, saw some family. Oh, how was your family? And I just, oh, well, I'm sorry. How was that for you? And I'll ask her therapy questions and she'll go, it She'll start answering and go, stop. This is your time. Don't do that. I was like, oh, okay, sorry. And
You're so annoying.
it's not on purpose. That's just what I naturally do, right?
Yes,
And
you
you know,
do.
I do that with you. Well, we'll
Yep.
talk, and I was like, well, how was it? I'm sorry. Does that bother you, or how does that affect you? And I thought my dates
I
go
could just
too.
see her being like, you ass.
Yeah, she saw. She's like, no, we're here
No.
for you. You can't do that because sometimes we'll go. Or if
Oh
I'm
my
deflecting,
God.
if something's intense and I don't want to talk about it, I'll do that as a deflection. I'll turn it right back around and try to get the person to talk about themselves. So yeah, it's also a defense mechanism.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was thinking it's funny when she catches me. Like, if I'll talk too much or trying to turn it around and have her talk about herself, she's like, don't do
No,
that.
don't do that. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another one, and this
Yes.
one is probably pretty common for you to hear people recommend. But I have it in like a different idea. Okay. So obviously people say that a lot, writing out your thoughts. And after a therapy session, it feels like sometimes that you could probably continue to talk for like 2 hours. So sometimes after you're done with the session, you're just like, I have so much more that I want to like get out of me. So journaling can be really great at doing that. So I have two suggestions. I have like a stream of consciousness suggestion. I used to do this when I was in high school and like writing classes, but you just kind of start typing or writing, whichever is faster for you, and no punctuation, no like periods, no capitals, no nothing, no checking spelling, no like grammatical sentences. You just let out everything that you're thinking, anything that you were talking about, or whatever is in your mind. You just like get it all out. It's almost like a mind dump kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that can really help you not hold on to those feelings and thoughts and stuff that are hanging on, that might make you have like kind of an emotional day for the rest of the day. You can get a lot of that out of you by doing like a stream of consciousness kind of mind dump journaling. My other thought is to do like an art journal
Yeah,
after
that's
a
a good
therapy
idea.
session. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So I think I'm going to start doing this because as I was like writing these ideas out, I was like, oh, that'd probably be a lot of fun because, I'm a doodler,
Yeah.
always have been since like high school, college. I just doodle. And a lot of the time it has to do with what we're talking about. So like if it was history class, I'd be doodling the history, like
Mm-hmm.
discussion and like drawing like swords and shit. So you could do art journaling after a therapy session and journal like what you talked or like draw what you talked about or scenes that you may have discussed or what draw out what you want for the future to look like or whatever you were talking about. Or it could just be you want to draw some pretty stuff with some pretty art supplies, markers, colored pencils, whatever, and you just want to make something pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to, again, it's like a stream of consciousness, but with art.
Right.
You know, you don't try to like correct yourself, just make something, make some pretty colors. It could be super abstract, but like making something artistic can really help you kind of get emotions out in a way that's not like making sentences because that can be hard sometimes after you've again just kind of talked to yourself through a lot of emotions. So I'm going to start
I
drawing
like
with
that.
markers after my therapy sessions. I think that's going to be really helpful.
Oh yeah, I like that. I'm a doodler. The artwork that I do came out of me how I used to doodle as a kid to kind of now looking back was a way for me to release stress and anxiety. I'm like, why did I do that all the time when I was freaking out in school and had family around that was driving me nuts? I was trying to find a way to get out my anxiety and energy because no one listened to me.
Yep.
I was thinking about it too is therapy can, especially after a while, as you start like realizing like, oh, that's why I do that. That's where that comes from. That's why I have abandonment issues. That's why I have rejection, dysphorias and all this stuff. It's like, oh,
Right.
because this person did this to me when I was 5, and this person did the same thing when I was 8, and I connected the two, and now I bridged them, and then whatever. So, yeah, and I'm doing that now. There's a couple things in my life I'm like, that's why I do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can go on about that type of shit. So my next one is listening to music. Obviously that's very personal, especially the music you're listening to. It can really depend if it's sometimes I'm a big metalhead, as you know.
Oh, I do.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
um,
God.
but
Just scared so many
right,
people.
the demons are in the radio. But no, I'm a big metalhead. So, and there's certain bands even from metal, because some metal can be very like aggressive, obviously because of what it is. I listen mostly like new metal and metalcore. But it can be very aggressive. Some of it is not. It's like Killswitch Engage. Name drop it. Killswitch Engage is one of my favorite bands. They're a metalcore band, but they have a lot of they're very clean vocals, and a lot of their music is about like I mean, overcoming things, and losing people and dealing with loss and emotional challenges, things like that. And there's Hatebreed, which is another band I listen to after therapy. All the music is about like overcoming obstacles, becoming a better person, overcoming challenges in your life so you can help others, making a better world. Like these are like screaming in your face metal bands. The messaging is very positive, very uplifting.
Right.
Most metal is either about like telling a story, like Dragons, uplifting and overcoming obstacles and being a better person, or like just like death. I mean, that's really your three topics.
It's such a wide variety there.
Yeah, it really is. And there's some others like Hosier, Tori Amos are very, very soft and calm. I listen to those as well, depending on the mood and what I need at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But usually there's like a metalcore I usually go through because it has a lot of melodies and they're like heavy and it's a roller coaster, and I can
Right.
kind of like feel that. And because if I get dropped down in music, if I'm coming up intense therapy, that can be a bit anxiety inducing for me because I don't calm with it. It just kind of like it's like not dealing with it. But heavier music kind of like it's almost like heavier music for me pushes it out. It brings it up.
I like that.
Brings it up, has you feel it, and then like pushes it out of you. Where if I'm like up here and I have some calming music, it makes it almost like it pushes it back down, which I don't need.
That is so interesting. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Huh.
Like
Because I was just sitting here thinking like I wouldn't really recommend listening to sad songs after a therapy session, because that's not exactly going to help you feel better, because that's what we're trying to do is like therapy, like self-care tips to make you feel a little bit better after a therapy session. So like it's so interesting to think heavy metal can actually like have that great message that will bring you back up.
Yeah.
And it also has like you said, it kind of has that emotional roller coaster kind of thing. Like that's interesting.
I've straight up cried at a metal show before.
Oh, you're so cute.
It's just something about like the intensity, because especially metalcore and like that, it's really intense and it brings it back down. And if you know the lyrics of the song, it's all this stuff that comes up. And you're like, it reminds me of my grandmother, and you're just done. Like, I've actually put arms around guys, and we're both just like tearing up. We're just like jumping up and down and having fun together, but it's just bring something out. Yeah,
you're so cute. Oh my God.
Dude, I took my brother to a death metal show, like full on growling, screaming, and my brother said these are the most nicest, caring, helpful people I've met in my entire life.
Yep.
Like straight up, I've never been to because he hasn't gone to a lot of concerts. He's been around a lot. He's around a lot of different type of people who listen to different music. He's like, I know people who just are super nice and just helpful as for what you're listening to, which is like the lead.
Right.
The headliner was Cattle Decapitation. By the way, lead singer is vegan. Most of their songs are about how we're a plague on the planet and we shouldn't be here because we destroy it.
That's lovely. I'm glad you clarified that, because that would have been horrible.
Yeah. In fact, they had when COVID hit, they put out a song called "Bring on the Plague."
Oh my God!
And it was basically like, we deserve this.
I mean, we kind of, I can see that.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to listen to different kinds of music than maybe what I would normally listen to, and see if maybe that helps a little bit too.
Yeah.
I could play it while I shower.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
Fancy.
Look at me combining self-care tips like a pro. Okay, so my next tip is not something that everyone should do, because not everyone can handle this. So after a therapy session, I talk things through with my husband. So, like I said, I am currently working on some deep trauma therapy, and it is over one specific event. And my husband was my husband at the time of this event. So, he has lived through this. So, when I get out of a therapy session, I'm like, yikesies. And I am like super, raw and emotional. And I just come out and start telling my husband kind of what we talked about. He always asks how things went. He always like offers like a hug and he's there for me. But he also like is really interested in the things that she tells me. Therapists have that way of talking that you're just like, wow, you just put that in the craziest way.
Right.
Like, holy shit. So I just find some of the insights that she shared and things that she's made me figure out are like so powerful that I feel it really, it's encouraging to share with my husband. So when I talk about it, he just sits there and listens. He doesn't say anything. He just lets me talk and I cry and I go through almost the whole, I don't tell him the whole session, but I go through like the emotions of the whole
Mhm.
session and kind of like go over things. And he just lets me talk things through. And it's almost like kind of like the journaling where it's like a continuation. It's kind of like me figuring out kind of all the things we just talked about and like regurgitating them almost feels like I can solidify those thoughts in a way.
It helps
So I,
organize.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It organizes my thoughts in a way. Yeah. And that whole thing, like if you teach someone else a subject, it helps you learn that
Hmm.
subject more. So when I tell him kind of the things that she's teaching me, it kind of helps me feel like I understand that concept a little bit more. I have a lot of homework and like worksheets that I do in this specific kind of therapy. And so like I talk to him about those as well. And he doesn't really give too much like insight or like any kind of thoughts back too much. He's just like encourages me. He tells me how proud he is of me, and he asks like if there's anything I need or if I feel like this is going in the way I want it to. Like he's just like he asks like the simple questions and he's just there to let me kind of talk.
Right.
And then he just hugs me, and it's like I'm not he knows I don't need him to do anything. She's doing all the things like my
Right.
therapist's got it. I don't
Yeah.
need him to be my therapist. I just need him to like let me kind of talk it out afterwards, and he's been very wonderful about it. And again, because he was there for this like event that I'm talking about, it's interesting because he kind of has his own perspective on things. So
Hmm.
it's been really helpful to have him there after a therapy session. I thought I would like not say anything about them, and keep it kind of private, but it's like complete opposite. Completely opposite.
Well,
Tell him everything.
I mean, it's kind of like as a developer, I have like we're making it on camera. I can hold it up so you can see. I have my little rubber duck,
Mm-hmm.
and we do a thing called rubber duck debugging.
Okay.
And if we're having a problem, we're trying to work through and understand, like, some code's not working, or how can we solve this problem with code? I will talk to this thing. I'll sit at my desk right here and go, like, okay, so look, I have this loop, it's not running right, and I'll just talk what the problem is, and it helps
Yeah.
organize those thoughts. And I'll go, cool, thanks. I just sit down and go back to work, and I'll solve the problem.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
we do that with at work. Like, well, I'll just go to hey, can I just bounce something off of you real quick? And, yeah, I mean, what's up? I'll just the other developer says nothing, and I just talk and talk and talk and talk through the problem and go, I'm not setting the variable at the very beginning. It's a global variable. I got it. Never mind. And we all and seasoned developers, we all say roughly the same thing. We say thanks for being my duck.
I love that.
Yeah, like no problem.
He's my duck.
Yeah, he's your duck. You
Oh,
sit
my
down, you just
hubby is
talk
my
about it,
duck.
and it helps organize, and you kind of really understand the problem and what it is. Yeah, it's your duck.
That gonna make me cry. That is so cute.
And for the record,
I have to tell him this.
my duck is a devil, by the way.
I know. It's the freaking coolest duck I've ever seen. It's not like some cheesy little yellow duck.
Yeah, I love this duck.
Oh, I love that. He truly is my duck.
Yep.
Yep.
He's your duck.
That is a great way of saying it. Yay.
So mine is watching. My next one is watching a familiar show.
Okay.
And this is especially fairly common for people with ADHD, which is a surprise. But watching something that's familiar, your brain kind of knows what's going to happen, so it's very
I
calming.
know what you're gonna say.
What's that?
Friends.
That's one of them. Yes. Oh, lock on me. So that's definitely one of them. So like Friends, The Office when it was around,
Oh yes, yes.
because it's not on Netflix anymore. How I Met Your Mother.
Mm-hmm.
These are your typical cheesy sitcom shows, but I've watched them many times. I know them.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and for being a huge, metalhead, going to gym and lifting heavy shit and, growling and stuff. I like Disney.
You
I
do.
do. So, so watching like, Tangled and Frozen and like all the Disney movies I've seen a bunch of times, and Up and all these movies I've seen a bunch. It's just because your brain is comfortable with them because it knows what's going to happen. There's no surprises, nothing. So
Right.
having the background or watching clips and stuff of them can be very calming and very kind of like get you back down to like where do you need to be before you started therapy. So you can find that even ground.
I love that.
That's what I
I
like.
also love that you're like the single guy who listens to heavy metal and you love Disney, and I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of girls and I hate Disney and
Yeah.
I've never watched any of the movies you just listed.
Yeah.
Never. I've never seen Tangled. I've only seen part of
I,
Frozen.
I watched
I
Tangled today.
avoid that shit. What the
I
fuck?
don't know if I was working today.
We are so different.
Oh yeah, dude. Well,
And yet so much alike too.
well, I was putting that. I have this like little movie room, media room I've been working on, and I got prints for Emperor's New Groove was Cuzco, Big Hero
Mhm.
6 was Baymax, I can't remember her name from Brave. I don't know why I can't remember her name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's a Scottish name. It's hard for me to say, so it's hard to remember. And Mulan. I know Mulan's not bad. The live action is pretty good. Um, I've seen the live action and the cartoon. Moana. Love Moana. Great, especially if it goes Disney went away from their princess needing a man kind of a thing. It's
Oh,
sorry,
thank gosh.
not whitewashed. All the actors were actually brown people playing brown people, so it's pretty
Oh,
good.
thank gosh.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh yeah, I can talk about I should start a Disney podcast and talk about this.
We should share some of your media room
La la la.
redesigned media room
Yeah.
on our Instagram. We could show some of the prints that you got and tag the artists because they're really
Yeah.
cool.
Absolutely. They're small artists too, which I
Yeah, so we'll definitely do that so you guys can buy some art. I guess that could be a fun thing to do too. You could, shop some art. I like that
Oh yeah,
idea.
absolutely.
I like because I don't want to encourage people to shop after therapy because you may like develop a little habit of buying too much. But I think like looking at art and anything that's like that could be really calming for you too.
Yeah.
It's oh, you know what you could do?
Mm.
They have virtual of museums that you
Oh
can
yeah.
take. Yeah, that would be so nice
That's
after a
good.
therapy session to just like take a little tour of a museum and look at different art. Oh, I would love that. I'm going to add that to my list too.
That's a good
Great
one.
idea.
Even that, like I do abstract art. I'll pull out my markers or my pencils and I'll work on a piece of something I am working on. I'll work on that a little bit, and that's kind of like because also especially and I know we're deep into this. We have a lot more to go over. That's something too is, if you do therapy in the middle of the day, kind of like I do, where you have to like
Mhm.
stop in the middle of work, do this, and go back. Finding that grounding and bring you back out of that is important. You going from therapy into it. If you could do it, great. But I couldn't. I do like math and programming and stuff for a living. So going from I had a tough week and I'm upset about X, Y, and Z to writing for loops and if statements and working on
Mhm.
UX designs and stuff is a little difficult. So doing art or going outside that definitely helps kind of recenter. We all can't like take showers.
I know, I know. But you do have something on here, your last tip
Oh,
that I
last one.
think people can do that's easy to do during the middle of the day.
Yeah. Get a hot drink.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
a hot
seriously.
shower, hot drink, same thing. That hot
you know-
comfort.
I'm picking on you. Actually, I'm not attacking you for your aftercare. I like playing with you.
I
Nothing but
know.
love, people. Nothing but love. Yeah. So whether it's tea or coffee, some sort of like I have this like electric milk frother thing that heats and froths. I'll uh, I'll like make a little green tea latte. From our Costco episode, I got this
Yes.
big bag of matcha, and I just put a scoop of that with some almond milk. Hit the button, it heats it, froths it, and I got a little green tea latte. Really, because I don't know. Even no matter, I'll drink hot drinks in the dead summer too,
Yeah.
in the south. But something about that's kind of warming and comforting, and it kind of just think it just can pull you back down and make you feel safe.
And also, like, probably the process of making it is, therapeutic in
Oh,
its
for
own
sure.
way. If you can mindfully do it, of course, it's very nice to kind of put like one of those fancy drinks together.
Especially if a process like I have with the Aeropress, or
Mm-hmm.
you have a French press, something like that. You have to like fill the water and let it sit. That definitely can recenter you, as we were talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we've shared our tips. Now we're
Yes.
going to share some of our friends and families' tips, and then we're going to give you some extra ones that we've heard from other people, found online, things like that. So again, I asked my therapist after a therapy session, do you have any recommendations for how I can take care of myself? And she goes, "This is a great question. I'm so glad you asked this." And she goes, "Especially because I know this is like rough." And I'm like, "Yeah, help me."
Little bit.
So she recommended, which I've already said, but she recommended meditation using the Calm YouTube channel. I use Insight Timer, but I did check out the YouTube channel because they do have like some stretches and like yoga and stuff on there too, which could be very relaxing after a therapy session.
Hmm.
She said spending time with people you love. So she was like, if you can schedule, game night after a therapy session and just play some games with your kids, or if you want to have like your favorite show with them or something like that after a therapy session, it can be really comforting to just be with somebody else, even if you're not talking about anything therapy related. So when I think of like you sitting outside, like you could always, if you're had someone over at your home, you could have them sit outside with you, have that hot cup of coffee, and just have someone near you to kind of give you somebody else there to their presence. They don't have, again, they don't have to say anything, they just have to be there. She mentioned journaling. She didn't mention the specific ways I did, but on the BetterHelp app there is a journal section, and it actually gives you prompts for like how to start your journal, like maybe this is a question, or like the three things that do this or whatever. So if you ever go to journal and you don't know, like, what am I supposed to say, what am I supposed to write down, there are so many journal prompts that you can just Google and look up, and they'll give you like great ideas. It doesn't have to be like something super deep. It can be, what are the three things that make me feel the most relaxed or something like that. So definitely look for some like journaling prompts to help. Um,
They
yeah,
they also have journals with prompts written in them, and you can they
true.
have I have a couple friends who have those. They're not in therapy, but it's kind of like their like own personal, just to sit down once a day and like list 5 goals you have and how you'll achieve them, or like what 3 things in your life are making you happy, or like how you were saying. So yeah,
Hmm.
they're already prompted in their journals, which they find extremely useful.
I think those are really helpful. And my last tip is the same one. The last tip from my therapist is one of the same ones that David had, but a little bit different. So she said, watch a funny show, which the ones you mentioned are all funny. But
Cause I'm a funny
um,
guy. Boop boop
she
doop
said
boop
something
boop.
that can make you laugh, get some like happy endorphins going. So a funny show, something that's like silly and lighthearted. She says that would be really helpful after a session as well. So I think those are some really cool
I like
tips.
those for sure.
Um, we did talk to our friend Rosie, which let me look. Rosie was recently on the podcast, and I'm trying to remember which episode. Give me 1 second. It was our Purple Carrot review, episode 39.
Oh, so
Yes, number
43. Yeah,
39.
sure.
We talked to Rosie, our very dear friend, about Purple Carrot. And so we know that she's in therapy. So we asked a little bit of like self-care tips that she might do after her therapy sessions. And she's like you, David. She does hers in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So like she has to, well, she did when she first started therapy, it was like in the afternoon, she could go home afterwards, but now she has to like go back to work and like go on with about her day. So she's like, I have to find like quick things to do. So she also does meditation. So I'm telling you, it's like the third time we said that today. So I just encourage everyone to give it a try. And I don't mean one try. I don't even mean two. I don't even mean five. Give it like 10 tries and you're going to find a benefit. I promise. Let's see, what else does she do?
I think it's the Calm app actually will if you're someone who's not used to meditating, they actually work you into it. So your first session is like 3 minutes. That's it. And you actually walk you into it where you're basically being like a pro. Yeah.
Like a pro. Yeah, I think there are some, I think in the Insight Timer app too, where it's almost like a meditation program where they like slowly get you into it. That would probably be easier than me just yelling at you to go do 10 sessions. Yeah, that's probably easy. Yeah, follow that. So Rosie said when she was able to go home after a therapy session, she would take a warm bath. So she's like me. We like to be in warm water apparently after our therapy sessions because we're very emotional. She likes to write things down. So she's very much a journaling kind of girl too. She likes hot tea, just like you said. So it's like it's so interesting that she picked a lot of the same kind of ones that we do too. Quiet time, all of that. So she definitely has a variety depending on kind of what she's dealing with. And I think that's kind of a good tip in general for this session is, you may not use the same self-care tips every time you have a therapy session.
Oh, for sure.
You got to make it a variety or it's probably not going to work as well. There may be one thing that feels great every time, like the hot shower feels great to me every time, but maybe sometimes I might listen to music and then maybe sometimes I might watch a show afterwards too. So like change it up and know that sometimes it's going to be a little bit rougher of a session, so you might need to try something different. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like I think I'm sure with you, the same thing with your tips, with what you do. Like mine switches up and changes around. Like so the music changes when I watch changes. Sometimes I don't cuddle the dogs or go outside. Sometimes I will literally just sit here and kind of like breathe. But yeah, those are my main ones. But yeah, they definitely changes, and the drink changes and stuff like that. Yeah, you definitely do the same thing over and over again. It can get old and kind of lose its luster. Yeah,
its effectiveness too, probably.
Right.
I would think. Yeah. So my little sister is very much into therapy as well. Hi, Brittany, love you. And so her opinion as well. And she said she likes to make sure her therapist knows that she feels really raw after a session because they may not even really consider that sometimes. And she finds it's important so that as you're ending the session, they end it on a nice, comforting note. She's like, because I let them know that I'm like raw at the end of a session so that like we can end it in a nicer, calmer way than maybe we would have before. I like that she like literally says that to her therapist. She's like, listen,
yeah,
I need you to like chill me out towards the end because it's a little rough for me. It's important. She uses positive affirmations, which I know Rosie does as well, which are basic, really great quotes that you say to yourself over and over again, like every day. That is kind of a ritual kind of thing, which is really interesting. You can put those positive affirmations all over your house, your agendas, your cars, or whatever, just to constantly remind you of these like positive quotes that just kind of like remind you that things are going to be okay kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I think if you have a good therapist, they'll recognize when something's not like something's still heavy on you, and they'll usually give you a like for mine if I'm like having issues with like being lonely or having I'm sad about something or whatever it is, or I'm hyped or anxious, she'll say, okay, well till while for next session, while this weekend you try to like go to with some friends, or why don't you go outside and go out in
Aw.
nature and go for a walk, because actually after 2 years she knows what I need when I'm certain things. So if she knows that I need something, like I'm not quite whole after the session, she will
Mm-hmm.
have those suggestions and things that I can do to address. So a good therapist, especially over time, will automatically offer you suggestions to kind of make yourself kind of like complete again, at least until they get to hear your insanity the next week.
Yeah. Yeah, she was actually when I told my therapist I needed some like self-care tips for after our session, she actually looked excited. Like, "Oh, I like that you're trying to like take care of yourself afterwards." It was cute. She was like, "Good job. Good job."
Done. I should ask my therapist. I didn't even think of to ask her. I didn't know her. I don't know
Hmm.
why I didn't tell me to ask her.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You should have suggested I do that. It's your fault.
Sorry,
Deflection.
sorry.
I'm just kidding.
We do have some extra tips. Just some like, random little things that you might be able to do. So, adult coloring books. This can be your art journal as well. Like if you don't feel like you can make up your own art and when you're after a therapy session, you can always color. Why do you have a problem? Why are you laughing?
Adult.
Why?
I think it's
You don't
adult.
like coloring?
No, I love. I fucking love it. I was thinking adult coloring books. Honestly, it's like coloring Kama Sutra books.
I mean, I do have a bunch of coloring books that have a bunch of cuss words, like beautiful bubble letters that are just like fuck face. That's what it says.
I just like
Well, I
sex
mean,
stuff.
it can be. You're such a nerd. Oh my God.
Like
Anyway,
it just
David.
comes with flesh colored crayons. Like, yeah.
It's so gross.
Sorry.
Oh my God. Adult coloring books of all varieties
Yes.
are also great. Give you some color, give you some relaxation. So definitely recommend those. And
It's
there's
very
so many.
meditative.
Yes. You do the next one.
I'm actually adding one to the bottom of the list. Your favorite snack, which is good. That's
Mm.
nice. I sometimes think about do that too. Like I'll go hunting for like I actually bought a popcorn maker this weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I have this big old bag of like popping corn. I just throw it in there. It's really low calorie. It's really good. So I do that. So that's kind of my go-to kind of comfort food snack. In the this week is I'm kind of like, man, I need something to to with my hands to do it than my writing code. My
Right.
favorite snack. That's a good one. It's a lot of this stuff. It's about finding comfort and either
Yes.
meditative or comfort. That's your main thing. With most
Hmm.
of these tips. Yeah.
Yeah, or organizing your thoughts. Those are kind of your three options there. Um, the next one, so a little bit, oh, I even hate saying it, a little bit of exercise. Sorry. um,
I'm okay with that one.
and then I put a walk in nature because that feels good to me. So I cannot exactly go for a walk at the after my therapy sessions because it's like real late. It's like 10 o'clock at night because my therapy sessions sometimes are like 9 p.m. So, and I'm not really a lady who likes to walk at night, unsafe, danger, danger. So,
Unfortunately, yeah.
but if I could, I definitely would do a little bit of walking in nature, walk my dog, go for a hike, anything like that. Since I can't though, I could do like a little bit of yoga, like I mentioned earlier, because that is not only like an exercise, getting your blood moving and your heart pumping, but it can also be very relaxing, and centering as well. So any kind of exercise, movement. Such a shit.
Oh yeah, I absolutely, because like me, I advocate for physical health as far as like doing exercise in. So that's even for me, a lot of these extra tips are like days you don't have therapy, you need something to kind of like give yourself a break and release. That's what these are for me. And these are also things you can do after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And the exercise for me is one, like at my gym we have some heavy bags, and I will just beat the shit out of that. Um, And
I could see that being super relaxing.
oh,
Like
yeah.
punching bag. Oh yeah, after therapy, that would be
Oh
great.
yeah, just like I trained for years of Muay Thai and boxing and kickboxing and stuff. So I'll do 5 rounds and be just completely gassed. I've seen you picture me like laying in the middle of the floor,
Mm-hmm.
just drenched, like I jumped into a swimming pool. Takes all your energy out, it gets everything out of you, gets any like if you have aggression and anger, it just all that out. It's just you're just so done, you can't breathe, you can't move, you're just out. It just gets and it's just kind of just it's not that it's grounding or it's not even like therapeutic in the way of like calming. It's just there's nothing left in you.
It's like a release.
Yeah, there we go. Release. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There's just nothing left there. Like, are you mad about nothing? What are you sad about? Nothing. I can't.
I got nothing for
I
you.
can't. I have nothing for you because there's nothing left.
So, question:
Mm,
You bought a punching bag with me
mm,
a few years ago,
mm,
year and a half ago, something.
right, yeah.
You don't have the stand, do you?
I haven't hung yet.
So,
No.
no, you need to get it. And here's me publicly shaming you until you get your punching bag hanging thing, because you could do this at home
True.
after therapy session, go punch for like 10 minutes and then go back to work.
That's
I'm
true.
just gonna my public shaming
Fair enough.
everyone.
I accept. I accept the shame. That's a good point.
Good, good, good,
I
good.
gotta make room.
You can do it. You can do it. You have plenty of
Yeah.
room now.
I
Um,
you
all
can
right,
see
I
my
have
garage.
yes. Well, that's true. I have it. Well, you have room. You'll do it. You'll find.
I'll figure it.
One thing I have on here is do something you love. Now, this can be very minor, something, very tiny. So it could be art. And you just added a tip that I actually fits this. It could be a puzzle. It could be coloring. It could be reading a book that's about absolutely nothing related to therapy. Anything that you love to do that, like that gives you comfort. Crocheting,
Passion. Yeah.
knitting, like anything that like feels good to you, save it for after a therapy session, because if you need that little bit of like dopamine afterwards, that can be it. So I really think like the knitting and crocheting and stuff like that, like something where you're like, you love it, you're creating something that could be really comforting to people, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
For sure.
for sure. So I'm gonna do ones I added to this real quick. The research topics discussed.
Ooh.
If you're a huge nerd like me, sometimes we'll come show out. My therapist have a term or a phrase or a book or
Oh, this is a great tip.
something that's like I don't know much about that relates
Mhm.
to what I'm going through. Wait till I'm thinking or think that I'll make a note of it. I have my desk. I can write on it. I have like a whiteboard on my desk. I'll write a note about it, and that day, that night, a couple days later, whatever it is, I'll just take time to research it, have a better understanding. And doing that just gives me a better understanding of myself, understanding what she was
Mhm.
talking about, and having that. For me, knowledge is power. Having knowledge, it's calming for me and helps me
Yeah.
really stand firm on what I understand about myself and the world around me. So researching, the topics or the terms or anything that was discussed in your session, I find very useful, regardless if it's right after a session or days later.
Yeah, I definitely do this when it comes to the terms that are used, because I'll say something and she'll tell me what term that relates to. And I'm like, oh, that makes God, you guys use the most logical terms for things. But I'm like, I need to know more. So I definitely do this. And I didn't even think about it. It is comforting though. It's like, so it does. I don't want you to think like researching isn't comforting. It really is, because again, like you said, you really understand yourself and can go into the next session kind of more prepared. You know what
Right.
she's talking about. And it feels a little bit more like you're back in power a little bit, because
Right.
you understand what's going on. So that's nice.
Right.
Good tip.
It also helps you bond with your therapist, which is important because you're telling them some
True.
really
Yeah.
serious, honest. There's stuff you can tell your therapist that only you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I have.
You may tell your therapist things that like your family doesn't know, your friends don't
Yep.
know, your partner doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like deep shit. Like that's one thing that I had to understand when I went to therapy is like you better get ready for the mother load, because here we go.
Yep.
So there's just some deep shit you have to be prepared to do that, and having a similar understanding of terminology and phrases, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely puts you, kind of makes you feel like you're on an even playing field, and can make it a
Yeah,
little more easier to be open and honest, as opposed to feel like they're above you because of what their position is.
that's a great tip. I love that. Um, I put on here you could cook a delicious meal. And I am not a big, like I don't love to cook, but a lot of people do. And I have found, I found a lot of comfort in cooking over the past year. And I mention this quite frequently on this podcast, but I definitely have found kind of more cooking, putting fresh ingredients together, the smells, the textures, the bubbling of the liquids. It all can be very comforting. And then you get to eat afterwards. I mean, come on.
Food.
Or you could make like your favorite, like bake something. Oh my gosh. Just like the all that like fun kind of therapeutic work, and then you get to eat. Come on.
Hell yeah.
Come on. That's a great tip.
Heck yeah! I made gluten free because the person that I'm seeing is gluten free. I made gluten free banana bread this past weekend.
Yummy.
So good, turned out so good. I had to share that. I just banana
Yeah.
bread delicious.
See, cooking can be very therapeutic as well.
Very
So it's definitely something you could do after a therapy session.
for sure. It's very stress relieving.
Yes.
One thing is and my therapist told me to do this because again we'll talk right up to like the 11th hour on our session time. Sometimes is emailing your therapist after with follow ups to discuss next time.
Ooh, that's a good tip.
If you have a really powerful session and you feel like you didn't get anything out or you weren't clear, like everyone has like when you like you're in like an argument or something and you like think of a good comeback later. Like, I should have said this. Or like, what
Yes.
the hell do they mean by that? Right. So I feel like any intense session, you're gonna be so focused on that exact moment. You later you have like this like pre-brain after going like, what do they mean by that? Or like, I meant to
Right.
talk about how it happened 3 days ago. I forgot. So, it is completely acceptable. Unless your therapist says don't do this, always
Right.
respect your therapist's boundaries and know what they are.
Yes.
Most therapists are okay with you emailing them, hey, next time, can we get to, you said this, I didn't know what that meant, and I want to talk about this, this, and this. They'll actually appreciate that because it lets them know
Yes.
what to expect in the next session, unless you don't already have, I'm sure, maybe, especially with your stuff, maybe you guys have like
We already have it
a
set.
step.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the
Mhm.
point now where she's like, what do you talk about today? Because
Yeah.
the part where I started therapy for, I'm past. That's not a thing
Yeah.
anymore. But emailing the therapist, letting them know, like I said, here's some stuff I want to talk about we didn't get to. I didn't know what this meant. Can you elaborate that next time? Letting them know what you need, and it kind of helps them prepare, and can really help dive into it, not have a lot of small talk and like making jokes when you should.
It also gets it out of your head.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, again, all that like stuff that's like whirling through your brain right after a session, you can kind of get some of that out by being like, this is what I really need to talk about because it's like all I can think about right now.
Oh yeah. I don't expect your therapist to respond to that. They may say
Yeah.
nothing to you at all. They may say,
Mhm.
okay, thanks for letting me know, but don't expect responses because you pay them for their time. You're not paying them for that time.
Yes,
So
unless you are on BetterHelp, where you can text your therapist at any
Right.
point.
Depends on
I
the therapist's
texted
model.
mine today randomly, and she just responded during the session, which is kind of adorable. So,
Yeah,
yay, love
I-
my therapist.
I think this is kind of in the similar regard, so I'll kind of this continuation of it. If I actually have a note app that I use, it's on my computer and my phone. They connect,
Mhm.
and I can have a therapy list going. If something that comes up, I want to talk about, and sometimes she'll say, well, what's on your list? Because she knows I have that list.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know. It's like I have a list, of things. So she'll say, "Is there anything on your list that we haven't talked about? You want to dig into?" There's still stuff that's on there that's not as high, but it's there.
Right.
But having a list, if you don't feel comfortable emailing, or it's maybe late at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't want to have a list available, so you at least can tell them, "Here's what's on my list that I want to go over today." So
That's really important. That kind of takes charge too.
Yeah.
Puts a little bit more control in your hands on like what you really want to talk about.
right.
I love that. That's a great idea. I don't have any more tips. You have one more.
I have one more. Kind of along with you said something you love, puzzle or Lego. By the way, it's Lego, not Legos. Lego is the plural of Lego.
I totally would have said Legos.
It's not Legos.
Okay,
That's
thanks for
incorrect.
correcting me, sir.
Okay. You don't. You buy. You can have one Lego, or you have a handful of Lego. That's only. Okay.
I don't like it.
It's like moose and moose. All right.
Okay.
So for me, like I don't meditate, but that's meditative to me.
Oh, I can
Sit down
see that.
and just so hyper focus on that, and just putting the blocks in step 3 and do this. That is so crazy hyper focused to me. That's so calming. And puzzles the same way. I have a puzzle up here, the Star Wars one. I put together like 4 or 5 times. I'll just put together, break it apart, put it back, put it away.
I've never known anyone to redo puzzles. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's actually double sides. You can do either one you want.
Okay, that's cool. Ooh, I did a 3D
those are
puzzle.
Cool.
Remember, I did a vase that my niece gave my husband and I. Yeah, that is one of the coolest things I have ever put together. Like, I'm not big into like puzzles or making things, but I was like, this looks kind of silly. Let's see how this is. And we started making it. I'm like, this is the coolest thing. And it's a usable vase. Come
really
on.
Cool. It is really cool.
Oh, definitely something you should look into.
It's super cool. That sounds pretty fun, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of all of our tips. I do have one final one. Be gentle with yourself, which again sounds very like, foo-foo stuff, but like just be nice to yourself afterwards. You may drudge up some stuff that's very emotional, but just expect that you are going to feel kind of raw and very vulnerable and emotional. So just be gentle with yourself. And we are very proud of you for going through therapy. We think it's important for everyone. So if you are an active therapy participant, high five. We love you. Good job.
Yes.
Right, David?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
All of that.
Just thank you. Thank you.
Well put, well said.
Okay. Of course, we want to hear from you guys. We want to know your self-care tips for after a therapy session. Like, what didn't we put in here? Because we probably need it. So let us know, and you know where to find us. You can follow us on Instagram at The Average Vegans, or email us at theaveragevegans@gmail.com, and let us know your therapy tips. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. Please make sure to leave a review and recommend us to your friends, family, coworkers, strangers, the delivery driver. Of course, you can find show notes, links, and more at theaveragevegans.com. Again, follow us on social. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your vegan story, your favorite vegan treats, all that stuff. We even want to hear what you're going to be for Halloween. Give us all the stuff. This may come out after Halloween, and that'd be really funny. Whatever, get over it.
Next Halloween. What are you going to be next Halloween?
Yeah, that's right. Just tell us what you were. There you go. That's it. There you go. And for this week, that is it.
All right. Well, until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.